Today's Daily Read Aloud is Spot's Hospital Visit by Eric Hill. "I'm ready," Spot shouted to his friends Tom and Helen. They were all going to visit Steve, who was in hospital with a broken leg. Tom had a ball for Steve, and Helen was taking her doctor's bag and a big bunch of flowers. She was pushing them in her doll's pushchair. Spot had a basket full of different kinds of fruit. "These are for Steve," he said, popping a grape into his mouth. "Oh, we'd better hurry or there won't be any left," Helen told him. At the hospital, they found Steve's room and peeped in. Steve waved. He was happy to see his friends. "Thanks for coming," he called. "I love visitors, especially when they bring me presents." Spot stared at the plaster cast on Steve's leg. "Doesn't that hurt?" he asked. "Not at all," said Steve. "Anyway, it's coming off tomorrow." "What, your leg?" gasped Tom. "No, silly, just the cast." "There's writing on your cast," said Spot. Steve laughed. "Yes, all my friends have written their names on my leg, the doctors and nurses, and some of the children too." "I want to write my name," said Spot. So he did, and then Tom drew a funny face. Helen wrote her name and drew some flowers and a heart. Tom was looking at Steve's hospital bed. There was a handle at the side. "What's this for?" he asked, and he started to turn it. Steve's head and shoulders rose into the air. "Hey, look at that!" shouted Tom. Spot found another handle on the other side of the bed and began turning it. Steve's feet went up. "Oh, be careful!" Steve yelled. "You're not supposed to do that. I might break something else. Hey, stop that!" Suddenly, the door opened and Nurse Rabbit came in with a wheelchair. "Here, Steve," she said. "Why don't you take your friends to the playroom?" They went along the corridor. "Look at all these toys," said Tom. "I like this train," said Spot. Helen opened her doctor's bag and took out a green mask and gown. "Let's play doctors," she said. "You're my patient, Tom." So Tom sat down and Helen listened to his chest with her toy stethoscope. He began to laugh and twist around. "Sit still," Helen ordered. "You don't laugh and fool around when a real doctor examines you." "But you're tickling me," giggled Tom. "Now, take a deep breath." "Let's pretend Spot has a broken leg," said Helen. She unrolled a bandage and wound it around Spot's leg. "Put Spot in your pushchair, Helen," shouted Steve. "Tom, look at Spot," said Steve. But Tom wasn't there. "I'm just like Steve." Helen wheeled Spot into the hall and Steve wheeled himself out in the wheelchair. "Where can Tom be?" he asked. They went down the corridor calling out Tom's name, but he was nowhere in sight. "Where's Tom? Tom! Tom!" "What's that?" They looked in the X-ray room. "This is the machine that took the pictures of my leg," Steve told them. "Oh, I know all about X-ray machines," says Helen. "They're like cameras, but they take pictures of your bones." "I don't see Tom here, Steve. Do you?" As the three friends turned around to leave, a loud voice shouted, "Boo!" They all jumped. There sat Tom. He'd been hiding under a sheet all that time. "Ha ha ha ha! Did I scare you?" Visiting time was over, so they said goodbye to Steve and went back to Spot's house. Helen wheeled Spot with his bandaged leg all the way in her pushchair. Sally was at the door as they arrived. "Spot!" she cried. "Well, what happened to your leg?" "Don't worry," Spot told her. "Helen was just playing doctor." "Oh, my poor Spot." "I liked the hospital," said Spot. "We had fun. I think I'd like to be a doctor when I grow up." "Well, maybe you will," said Sally. "But in the meantime, Steve will soon be out of the hospital and you can all play doctor at home." Great, said Spot. I want to be a doctor. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button. We have a new story every day, so make sure you subscribe. The end.